My name is Mackenzie Strofe, and today I'm going to teach you CountFast 25. This is a fun strategy or trick, if you will, when you're multiplying a number by 25. This deck is a little bit challenging, but once you've practiced it enough, then you'll be more confident with it, and you'll be able to do it very, very quickly. So the yellow deck is the easiest deck because all of these numbers are divisible by 4, which means they'll end in a 0. And I'll show you why. So I wrote down 8 times 25. You might think of 25 as a fourth of 100, or I like to explain it to kids as it's 1 quarter, and you need 4 quarters to make $1 or 100. So that's why it's 1/4 of 100. So when we are multiplying by 25, I like to tell kids to get to 100. A lot of times I tell kids to try and get to a multiple of 10 because it makes it a little bit easier. So here, if we multiply 25 by 4, we would have 100. And so then we take our 8, and we multiply our 8 by 100, which equals 800. But since we multiplied this by 4, we now need to divide it by 4 so that we're doing the opposite operation, so we've not changed the problem itself. So 800 divided by 4 then is 200. Now on CountFast, what we tell you to do is to simply add 2 zeros to this first number. So we would say take this number here and add your 2 zeros and then divide by 4. But I thought it was important to show you why this trick or strategy worked, because it may seem like a trick, but it really is a strategy. It just helps you to do it faster, and you need to know why it works so that you know how to multiply by 25. The blue deck is a little bit different because in this deck you would have 1 quarter or 1/4 or 1/25 left over. So when we were doing a number divisible by 4, it multiplied evenly so that our number ended in zeros. But here, with 1 left over, our answer will always end with a 25. So if we were to do the same thing, you have 5 times 25, but you take your 5 and you add 2 zeros. Because again, if you multiply 25 by 4, you get 100, and then later you will divide it by 4, which is what we're going to do right here. Then we will end up with 125. And like I mentioned just a minute ago, if you take the 4 out of our number 5 here, then we would have 1 left over, and right here is our 1 left over in our 25. Then our pink deck is done the same way, only this time we have 2 left over, so our number will end in 50. And then the green deck, we would have 3 left over, so our number ends in 75. You do the problems the same way by adding your 2 zeros and dividing by 4 always, but that's just a little trick to know what your number is going to end with. And this gold deck is a combination of all 3 of these, or all 4 of these decks rather. It's a little bit more challenging for students who have mastered all of these skills to do some mixed in there with it. At the back of the deck is a time card where students can start with whatever deck they would like. I would recommend starting with the yellow deck because it's a little bit easier to figure out, and they time themselves to see how long it takes them to answer all of the questions, and they'll see that their time is getting faster every day that they're practicing. And then they can move on to do some of the harder decks after that. There's also an answer key so that they can check themselves to see if they've figured out the right answer. And the more students practice this, the easier it will become, and the more that they will understand that multiplying by 25 isn't as hard as it looks. Even though it looks super challenging, it's fun, and and not so hard after all.